The town of Ashvale was small, quiet, and forgotten by most of Earth. Nestled between hills and rivers, it was the kind of place where people still greeted each other on the street, where neighbors helped fix each other's fences, and where the sound of children playing echoed louder than any machine. Life was simple, ordinary, but sometimes the universe has a way of finding the most ordinary places and turning them into battlefields. The arrival, the night began like any other. Farmers were putting away their tools. The diner's neon sign buzzed faintly in the cool evening, and old Mrs. Carter's dog barked at nothing in particular. Then the sky tore open. A streak of light, far too bright, far too fast, burned across the heavens. People stepped out of their homes to watch. Some thought it was a meteor. Others thought it was a falling satellite. But when the streak split into 5 sharp lines of fire, descending directly toward Ashvale, everyone knew something was wrong. The first explosion hit the town square. The shockwave shattered glass, blew doors off their hinges, and knocked people to the ground. A second blast struck the water tower, sending a geyser of steel and water crashing down on Main Street. Panic spread. Children screamed. Men and women grabbed their families and ran, and then they appeared. Figures, tall and armored, stepping out of the smoking wreckage like demons out of hell. Their skin was pale, their eyes like burning coals. In their hands, weapons crackled with green fire. The aliens had come to wipe out Ashvale. The first resistance Sheriff David Ross was the first to fire back. He had no idea what these creatures were, but when one raised its weapon at a mother clutching her son, he didn't think. He just aimed his old revolver and pulled the trigger. The shot rang out like thunder. The bullet struck the alien in the neck. It staggered, snarled, and collapsed. That single act lit a spark. Others grabbed what they could: shotguns, hunting rifles, even kitchen knives. Farmers, mechanics, truck drivers, teachers. They stood together. Ordinary people with nothing but courage and whatever weapons they had at hand. The aliens advanced in formation, confident in their superiority, but they weren't expecting resistance. Not here. Not from people with no ships, no armies, no advanced technology. Yet the townsfolk fought, and every alien that fell made the others pause. The fire spread's word spread quickly. Radios crackled with warnings. The church bell rang not for worship but as a call to arms. In basements and barns, people gathered. They shared ammunition, passed out old hunting bows, even sharpened farm tools into weapons. Ethan, the high school mechanic, rigged Molotov cocktails from bottles and gasoline. Clara, the nurse, turned the school gym into a makeshift hospital. Even children helped, carrying water, gathering supplies, or guiding the wounded. Every street became a battleground. The aliens were stronger, faster, armed with energy weapons that could melt stone. But they were not invincible, and for the first time in centuries of conquest, they faced something they didn't understand: human defiance. The cost of defiance. By dawn, Ashvale was scarred. Buildings burned, the diner lay in ruins, and smoke curled above the hills. Dozens of townsfolk had fallen. Friends, family, heroes who never asked to be heroes. The aliens regrouped. Their commander, taller and clad in black armor, raised his hand. A new weapon hummed to life, a cannon mounted on a hovering craft. Its aim was clear: the school where survivors huddled. Inside the gym, children cried. Parents held them close, whispering comfort even as fear gripped their hearts. But Sheriff Ross refused to let it end there. He gathered the remaining fighters. "They think we're broken," he said, his voice hoarse but steady. "But Ashvale isn't just buildings. Ashvale is us, and as long as we stand, they will never take this town." The people nodded. Farmers, teachers, shopkeepers, they looked at each other and knew if they were to fall, they would fall fighting. The final stand. When the alien craft approached, the townsfolk unleashed everything they had. Molotovs burst against its hull. Shotgun blasts shattered its sensors. A group of teenagers using a tractor rammed into its side, throwing it off balance. The cannon fired once, searing a hole through the ground, but before it could fire again, Ethan leapt onto the machine, with a crowbar. He tore open a panel, yanked at wires, and screamed as green fire engulfed him. The cannon sputtered and exploded. The blast lit the sky, sending the alien commander tumbling from his craft. He rose, furious, roaring in his strange tongue. But Sheriff Ross stood waiting. With the last bullet in his revolver, he aimed carefully, whispered a prayer, and fired. The commander fell. The aliens, leaderless and bleeding, began to retreat. Their ships roared as they clawed for the sky, and, just like that, they were gone. Aftermath silence fell over Ashvale, a silence heavy with grief but also with victory. The town was broken, scarred by fire and ash. Too many lives were lost. But it still stood, and word would spread. Across Earth, across the stars. Of a small town that refused to kneel. Of farmers and teachers and children who fought back against an empire that thought them weak. Ashvale would never be the same again. But its people had shown the truth that echoed through the galaxy. Humanity does not break easily. Closing words, on that quiet hill country where nobody expected history to be written, ordinary men and women proved something extraordinary. They tried to wipe out a town, but the locals fought back hard, and they won.